Fernando Alonso has been under heavy scrutiny recently, and this criticism is not without reason. Despite Aston Martin's performance taking a hit compared to previous seasons, it's hard to ignore the struggles of the two-time world champion. Alonso, once a dominant force, now finds himself in a position where his performance is being questioned. Aston Martin, despite being the only team on the grid to hold this particular infamous achievement, has seen an unexpected turn of events. Lance Stroll, Alonso's teammate, has managed to score all the points for the team in 2025, while Alonso has remained off the board. With Aston Martin currently sitting at the middle of the pack, a lot of questions are being raised. Will Aston Martin look to replace Alonso with a younger, more promising driver if the chance presents itself? More importantly, is 2025 potentially Alonso's final season? Given the dip in form, it's clear that the biggest disappointment so far this year has been Aston Martin, and the veteran Spaniard's performance seems to be at the center of it all. The situation gets even more complicated when we look at Alonso's stats for this season. He's now part of a rather unfortunate group of drivers: Lawson, Borletto, and Duhan, none of whom have scored points in 2025. Meanwhile, his teammate Lance Stroll, often labeled as one of the weakest drivers on the grid, has been the sole point scorer for Aston Martin. With 14 points, Stroll has kept Aston Martin in the midfield battle, while Alonso's performance has left many scratching their heads. To make matters worse, Alonso's form seems to be deteriorating. During the Miami Grand Prix, he suffered some rare mishaps, including a spin ahead of turn 11. It's becoming evident that his confidence might be slipping, partly due to the car's underperformance. Despite the team's challenges, Stroll's position remains secure, largely thanks to his father's ownership of Aston Martin. But as the team's future shifts, rumors are starting to swirl that Alonso's seat could be taken by someone like Max Verstappen if the opportunity arises. The future of both Aston Martin and Red Bull is set to be shaped by several key factors. While Aston Martin is gearing up for a major upgrade to its facilities in 2026, including a new wind tunnel and state-of-the-art technology in Silverstone, Red Bull is facing its own set of challenges. Though Max Verstappen is still very much in the hunt for the Drivers' Championship, Red Bull's situation is far from perfect. The team's future, especially with the 2026 regulations coming into play, isn't as clear-cut as it once was. Aston Martin, however, is positioning itself for a competitive future. The team will operate with Honda engines starting in 2026, and with Adrian Newey overseeing the development of their car, they're aiming to make significant strides. On the other hand, Red Bull is shifting towards a new powertrain in collaboration with Ford. The change in regulations could make Red Bull less of a favorite, leading Verstappen to potentially reconsider his long-term future with the team. For now, Aston Martin's goal is clear. They want to challenge at the front of the grid. And if Verstappen becomes available, they might just be the team to convince him to make the switch. But there's a twist. Mercedes is also a potential suitor. While Mercedes has shown commitment to its current lineup, things could change if Verstappen were to express interest. While Mercedes might be committed to their current driver lineup, Aston Martin's situation is more fluid. The team has made it clear that they value both Alonso and Stroll, but Alonso's recent performance has raised questions. Despite being a two-time world champion, it's been 12 years since his last win, and this season is shaping up to be another, one without major results. Alonso himself has admitted that the team is unlikely to compete for victories in 2025, with the car just not quick enough to keep up with the front-runners. What's curious, however, is that Alonso has always been a fighter, and even though he's far from the competitive form he once had, he's not giving up. After a tough race in Jeddah, Alonso stated, "I gave everything on track. It was hard to keep up the pace with cars in front. We were just not quick enough." His honesty about Aston Martin's struggles paints a clear picture of the challenges the team is facing. Yet despite this, Alonso remains committed to the cause and is determined to see the project through. The most interesting aspect of Alonso's current situation comes from his thoughts on retirement. For years, he has emphasized that he would only continue racing as long as he felt competitive. But now, given his current struggles, it's becoming increasingly clear that he might not feel competitive enough to continue as a full-time driver. Alonso himself has hinted at this possibility, stating, "I will drive as long as I feel fast and competitive, and the team needs me behind the wheel." However, he also acknowledged that his contract with Aston Martin extends beyond his driving career, and that he would be happy to remain with the team in another capacity, even if he's no longer racing. Alonso's statement about driving for "as long as I feel fast and competitive" raises an important question. If he no longer feels competitive enough, will we see him step away from the cockpit? While it's unlikely that he'll retire abruptly, it seems possible that his future at Aston Martin may not involve him driving for much longer. Instead, he could transition into an ambassadorial or advisory role, where his experience and leadership could still help the team reach its goals, even if he's not the one behind the wheel. The possibility of Alonso being replaced by Max Verstappen is certainly intriguing. While there have been no official talks yet, rumors are already swirling that Aston Martin might look to sign Verstappen if he becomes available. With the team's growing ambitions, the opportunity to add a four-time world champion to their ranks would be a game-changer. However, there's still a major question mark hanging over Red Bull's future. Christian Horner's position at the team is uncertain, and Red Bull's struggles with the upcoming regulations could prompt Verstappen to consider other options. If Aston Martin does pursue Verstappen, they'll have the resources to make it happen. Reports suggest the team is preparing a massive contract to convince the Dutchman to make the switch. But for Verstappen, the decision may not be about money. It could be about the chance to drive for a team that can deliver the success he craves. As for Aston Martin, the potential addition of Verstappen would solidify their intentions to compete at the front of the grid for years to come. So, what does the future hold for Fernando Alonso? Will he continue with Aston Martin, or will he step aside to make way for the next generation of drivers? And will Verstappen's future be tied to a potential move to Silverstone? Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure: the landscape of Formula One is on the verge of some major changes. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and be sure to check out the next video on your screen for more insights.